Bonnie Turnbull. I'd like to welcome you to our 4th, 5th grade classroom at the core academic program.
I'm Laura Brush, and I'm going to read to you In the Night, Still Dark by Richard Lewis, illustrated by Ed Young. Darkness of the sun, darkness of the night, nothing but night. In the darkest night, in the darkest sea, after the coral was born, there came the mud-digging grub and its child, the earthworm. There came the pointed starfish and the rock-grasping barnacle and its child, the oyster, and its child, the mussel. There came the moss which lives in the sea and the ferns which grow on land. In the darkest night there came the fish and all the creatures of the sea. There came the lurking shark and the darting eel, moving quickly through the high weeds. There came the stinging ray and the hiding octopus, wading shyly in the deep waters. There came all the creatures who swim, rise and dive, swallowing as they go. In the darkest night, just breaking into dawn, there came all the small, weak, and flying things. There came the furred caterpillar and its child, the moth. There came the scurrying ant and its child, the dragonfly. There came the grasshopper of the field and the long-legged heron, standing in the quietness of its shadow. There came the duck of the pond and the swift-eyed crow, sleeping under the blackness of its wings. In the darkest night falling away, the darkest night creeping away, there came the rat who runs here and there, and with him the hairless red dog. And out of the roots began to grow, leaves began to branch, and a great calmness and a great stillness came about, and in this time men and women began to be born. Here on the ocean's edge, here in the damp forest, here in the cold mountains, people spread over the land. People were here, and so it was day. Thank you for letting me read this book.
My name is Tierney Benall, and I'm going to read When the Sun Rose by Barbara Hellenberger. When the sun rose today, a friend came to visit me. She came in a carriage bright as the sun. Even the stones in the road were shining. Her lion stopped at my gate. Then she got out of her carriage and came to my door. I opened it and said, "Come in." The lion came in with her. I was afraid, yet his feet were quiet as the sunlight on the floor, and my whole playhouse was warm. We sat down and had some honey cake and tea. The lion had blueberries with cream. Then our dolls traded dresses. The lion purred. And we made rainbows all day. Then my friend had to say goodbye. Her carriage was gold as sunset. "Will you come again?" I asked. "Yes," she said, "I promise." All the way I watched her going home. Even the stones had long shadows. Now it is dark, my friend has gone, but she will keep her promise, I know, for the rainbow we made still shines on the wall. And my house is full of roses. Thank you for letting me read this book. Hello, my name is Scott Compton, and I will be reading you a poem in Monday's Troll. Bellow. I'm Bellow the Ogre, I rumble and rave. I'm craggy volcanic, my mouth is a cave. I grumble and thunder and yammer and fret. I gobble the goblet, my stomach's upset. I'm Bellow the Ogre, I bluster and boast. I roasted a troll, he was perfect on toast. My manners are gristly, my temper is hot. I nibbled a wizard, my head hurts a lot. I'm Bellow the Ogre, I smolder and moan. I carry a cudgel of a dragon tail bone. I swallowed a giant, he went down like lead. Bellow the Ogre is going to bed. Thank you for listening to me read my book.
Hello, my name is Brian Costa, and I'm going to read you the Sick in Bed birthday. Last Friday was my birthday. It was also the saddest day of my life. The day before, Mom and I made cupcakes to bring to school. I decorated each one differently for everyone in my class. We even went to the bakery and ordered a cake for after school. My two best friends were going to sleep over. But when I woke up on my birthday, I didn't feel very well. I didn't tell Mom, and I went to school anyway. When I got to school, I felt sick. I couldn't even eat my cupcake. My teacher, Mrs. O'Connell, took me to the nurse's office. The nurse took my temperature. She said, I'm going to call your mom. Then she covered me up with a blanket, and I thought about my own cozy bed and soft quilt. I tried to sleep and not to cry. I was really glad when Mom finally came to take me home. I couldn't even stay awake in the car. Mom helped me put on my pajamas. Oh no, she said, you have red spots all over your stomach. Mom called the doctor, and the doctor told me the news. The doctor says you have chicken pox. Can Betty and Ziff still sleep over? I asked. Mom said no, because they might get sick too. Dad brought home some medicine to stop the itching. He said he was sorry my friends couldn't sleep over. He promised we would all do something really special when I felt better. Before I went to sleep, Mom and Dad brought me my blanket and ice cream and even sang happy birthday. The next day, I had even more spots, but I felt better, so Mom let me go downstairs to watch TV. Ziff called and said he'd give me my present when he was able to come over. Betty sent me a card. On Tuesday, the mailman brought me a bag of mail just for me. Everyone in my class had made me a card. I hung the one from Mrs. O'Connell right over my bed. All week long, Mom and I played games and thought of fun things we might do with Betty and Ziff. Finally, I was better and Betty and Ziff could come over. We had so much fun. It was my birthday worth waiting. Thanks. Thanks to Mom and Dad and my friends. Thank you for letting me read my book.
Smile.
Hi, my name is Casey Denton, and I'm going to read you a book called Something Big Has Been Here. It's a poem book, so I'm going to read you 2 poems. Something big has been here. Something big has been here. What it was I do not know, for I did not see it coming, and I did not see it go. But I hope I never meet it. If I do, I'm in a fix, for it left behind its footprints. They're size 956. An early worm got out of bed. An early worm got out of bed and murmured, I feel mean. I'll put on my darkest glasses. I'll paint myself bright green. I'll dress up in my wildest wig, the one with purple bangs. I'll also wear a pair of horns and artificial fangs. That early worm poked up his head, which looked a perfect fright. An early bird observed that worm and lost his appetite.
Look here.
Thank you for letting me read this book to you.
Smile.
Hi, my name's Sandra DePay, and I'm going to be reading Where the Wild Things Are, story and pictures by Maurice Sandak. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without anything to eat. That very night, in Max's room, a forest grew and grew and grew until his ceiling hung with vines, and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day, and in and out of weeks, and almost over a year, to where the wild things are. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars, and gnashed their terrible teeth, and rolled their terrible eyes, and showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with a magic trick of staring into their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were so frightened, and called him the most wild thing of all. And they made him king of all wild things. "And now," cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start." "Now stop," Max said, and he sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely, and he wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then, all around, from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said no. The wild things roared their terrible roars, and gnashed their terrible teeth, and rolled their terrible eyes, and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye, and sailed back over here, in and out of weeks, and through a day, and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him. And it was still hot. Thank you for letting me read my story to you. Hi, my name's Evan Hellman, and I would like to read you this book, If You Give a Moose a Muffin. If you give a moose a muffin, he'll want some jam to go with it. So bring out some of your mother's homemade blackberry jam. When he's finished eating the muffin, he'll want another, and another, and another. When they're all gone, he'll ask you to make more. You'll have to go to the store to get some muffin mix. He'll want to go with you. When he opens the door and feels how chilly it is, he'll ask to borrow a sweater. When he puts the sweater on, he'll notice one of the buttons is loose. He'll ask for a needle and thread. He'll start sewing. The button will remind him of the puppets his grandmother used to make. So he'll ask for some old socks. He'll make sock puppets. When they're all done, he'll want to put on a puppet show. He'll need some cardboard and paints. Then he'll ask you to help him make the scenery. When the scenery is finished, he'll get behind the couch, but his antlers will stick out. So he'll ask for something to cover them up with. You'll bring him a sheet from your bed. When he sees a sheet, he'll remember he wants to be a ghost for Halloween. He'll try it on and shout, "Boo!" It will scare him so much he'll knock over the paints. So he'll use the sheet to clean up the mess. Then he'll ask for some soap to wash it out. He'll probably want to hang the sheet up to dry. He'll go outside to put it on the clothesline. When he's out in the yard, he'll see your mother's blackberry bushes. Seeing the blackberries will remind him of her jam. He'll probably ask you for some. And the chances are, if you give him the jam, he'll want a muffin to go with it. Thank you for letting me read this book.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Hughes, and I would like to read you the story Grandfather Twilight. Grandfather Twilight lives among the trees. When the day is gone, he closes his book, combs his beard, and puts on his jacket. Next, he opens a wooden chest that is filled with an endless strand of pearls. He lifts the strand, takes one pearl from it, and closes the chest again. Then, holding the pearl in his hand, Grandfather Twilight goes for a walk. The pearl grows larger with every step, leaves behind a whisper, little birds hush. Gently he gives the pearl to the silence above the sea. Then Grandfather Twilight goes home again. He gets ready for bed and he goes to sleep. Good night. Thank you for letting me read this book.
Hello, my name is Paul Julian, and I am going to read this book called Beanie and Skim. When the first snow fell, Beanie Bear knew it was time for his long winter's nap. He put extra blankets on his bed and plumped up his pillow. Then he went to go say goodbye to his friend Scamp Squirrel. As Beanie came to Scamp's doorstep, he reached up to ring the bell. The door suddenly flew open. Scamp rushed out, bumped into Beanie, and fell back through the doorway. Beanie, I was just going to look out for you, cried Scamp, and here you are right on my doorstep. Come in, come in. I have big plans for us today. But Scamp, said Beanie, squeezing inside, it's time for me to go to bed for the winter. I will miss you, said Scamp sadly, especially today. I thought we would go together. Go where? Asked Beanie. Hunting for my nuts, exclaimed Scamp. It is time for me to find the nuts I buried this fall. I will not have any food for the winter without nuts. I cannot leave you without food, said Beanie. But how long will this take to find your nuts? Last year. Forget last year, said Scamp hastily. This year we'll find my nuts in no time. Oh, I'm glad you remember where you hid them, said Beanie. But I don't remember, said Scamp. How are we going to find them? Just look, cried Scamp, pulling out a crumpled piece of paper from his coat pocket. Have you ever seen anything as clever as this? Well, I'm not sure, said Beanie. What is it? A map, cried Scamp. Last fall I put my nuts in one place so it would not take so long to find them at all. Then I drew a map to lead me to them. All we have to do is follow the map. We will be like pirates looking for buried treasure. It doesn't look exactly like a pirate's map, said Beanie. Why is all the paper purple? Because I spilled a bottle of blueberry juice on it, said Scamp. I think the juice blurred the line, said Beanie. Oh, you're right. I will put more lines on to tidy it up, said Scamp. You scribbled over the purple spots. Now, as you can easily see, we start right here and follow the lines until we come to the end here. This is where we'll find my nuts. Scamp was pointing to a square with the word nuts written inside. What does the square mean? Asked Beanie. I wish I could remember, but then we would not need the map, said Scamp. We will find out what it means when we get there. Those nuts are hidden in a very clever place this year, and it is all right here on the map. Beanie tried to keep from yawning. He had a feeling it would be a long time before he went to bed. If you want to hear more about what happens to Beanie and Scamp, please check into a local library near you. Thank you for letting me read this book.
Hi, my name is Missy Levisi, and I'll be reading Love You Forever by Robert Muscash, illustrated by Sheila McGraw. A mother held her newborn baby, and very slowly she rocked him back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby will be. The baby grew and he grew and he grew until he was 2 years old. He ran all around the house, pulled all the books out of the shelves, he pulled all the food out of the refrigerator. He took his mother's watch and flushed it down the toilet. Sometimes his mother would say, this kid's driving me crazy. But at nighttime, when the 2-year-old was quiet, she'd open the door. She'd crawl across the floor. And if he was really asleep, she'd pick him up and rock him back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she'd say, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The little boy grew, and he grew, and he grew until he was 9 years old. He never wanted to come home for dinner, never wanted to take a bath, and when his grandma visited, he always said bad words. Sometimes his mother wanted to sell him to the zoo. But at night, when he was asleep, the mother quietly opened the door. She'd crawl across the floor, looked up over the side of the bed, and if he was really asleep, she'd pick that 9-year-old boy up and rock him back and forth, and say, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby will be. The boy grew, and he grew, and he grew until he was a teenager. He had strange friends, wore strange clothes, and listened to strange music. Sometimes the mother felt like she was in the zoo. But at nighttime, when the teenager was asleep, she'd open the door, crawl across the room, crawl across the floor. She looked up over the side of the bed. That big boy was asleep. She'd rock him back and forth, back and forth. While she rocked him, she'd say, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. That teenager grew and he grew and he grew until he was a grown-up. He left home and got a house across town. But sometimes on the dark nights, the mother got into her car and drove across town. That's my story, and if you'd like to listen to the rest of it, please check it out at your local library. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aiden, and I will be reading to you Humphrey's Bear. When Humphrey went up the stairs to bed, he heard his father say, Isn't Humphrey too old to sleep with a toy bear? Humphrey didn't hear what his mom said. He just jumped out of the blanket and snuggled with the brown bear and slept. The bear was very old. It had been Humphrey's father's bear long ago. As soon as Humphrey was asleep, the bear grew as big as it always did, took him by the hand. Get up, called the big bear, standing in the moonlight. Our boat is waiting. Here's your cat. Get moving. Sleepy Humphrey followed downstairs and out the kitchen door quietly so that his parents didn't hear him. There was a river running beyond the wet green night grass, and at the end of long planks lay a sailboat. Take the helm, steer, shouted the bear, pulling the ropes of high-flying sails. Cast off. They sailed right out of the backyard. A nice wind whooshed them along, and after a while the bear served Humphrey and himself a cup of hot chocolate. Pretty soon the river flowed into a huge wet sea, and porpoises sang sea songs for them. Humphrey steered by the stars, while the shaggy bear with the banjo danced a fine jig. Suddenly a typhoon came up out of nowhere, and the bear slipped and fell off the deck. Humphrey dived for his friend. Bear, where are you? Said Humphrey. Bloop, bloop, said the bear. I will save you, yelled Humphrey. However, he could not find the bear, though he swam and he swam and he swam until he came to an island. Over a sandy hill he heard a dreamy banjo playing. Seashells pinched his feet as Humphrey climbed the sandy hill. He found the bear and the warm moon outside and hot chocolate inside dried them. Humphrey could smell the bear's wonderful furry fur. They shut their eyes, and the next thing Humphrey knew, he was in his bed. Bear, where are you? Yelled Humphrey. His father was holding the toy bear in moonlight. His father was remembering when that bear was his bear. Here, son, whispered his father. His mom stood in the half-open door, smiling as his father put the little bear back in Humphrey's hands. I used to sail with him, too. Thank you for letting me read this book to you.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Wolf, and I'm going to read you George Shrinks. One day, while his mother and father were out, George dreamt he was small, and when he woke up, he found it was true. His parents had left him a note. Dear George, it said, when you wake up, please make your bed, brush your teeth, and take a bath. Then clean up your room and go get your little brother. Eat a good breakfast and don't forget to wash the dishes, dear. Take out the garbage and play quietly. Make sure you water the plants and feed the fish. Then check the mail and get some fresh air. Try to stay out of trouble. And we'll be home soon. Love, Mom and Dad. Thank you for letting me read this book.
Reading is fun!
What's fun?